Hi everyone. If you have not listened to part 1 of this 2-part mini-series, go back and do that. We are talking about implementing policy change and really eliminating the need for any sort of gathering buy-in or overcoming barriers because we're co-creating. So to co-create, we're setting foundational things. We're thinking about representative leadership and student voice and student experience data and all that stuff. First 4 of the 7 things I want you to put in place in no particular order, but the 4 that we talked about in the last video are there. Go watch them. Come back to this one. Now, today we're talking about the next 3. These are also crucial. So in the research, we've seen that the 7 together are what make things really effective. So let's get to the last pieces. Make sure that you watch all 7 consistently in the same time, in the same place. Meetings that are not held regularly disadvantage people who are not part of the teacher and admin dynamic in the school. So students might, in a last minute change or a change to during the school day, are not going to be able to attend or have to sacrifice attending their class versus attending this meeting. Family members at certain times of the day, particularly last minute changes, often won't be able to make it to the meeting. So that consistency and that alerting ahead of time and the refusal to make last minute changes if it doesn't work for everyone just needs to be considered, right? If it can happen within the school day, that's excellent for students that can't stay after school. We also have to be mindful if we have family members, they most likely can't make it within the school day. So to be thoughtful about this and to say that number 1, the group of people that we are serving are our students. And so if it comes to school day versus not school day, if our students, to be truly representative, if our students can't make it after school because they have jobs, because they have obligations for childcare and whatever, then we need to have it during the school day, right? And we can flex around that with family. We can get students to, represent their family group, right? The larger family group. We can have other means of getting family input, but the students are why we're here, right? And so that's my 2 cents. I'm not 100% unwilling to be swayed on this, but I do think if we have that student input and that student presence, we are doing right by our students. To be able to co-create policy, we also need to be able to co-create, and everyone has, I think, a little bit more ability to co-create at the classroom level because every student experiences class. That's why they're there. If we can have that dynamic with adults and young people in classrooms with teachers and students, co-creating the curriculum and talking about important things like justice, things that are related to, in a social studies class perhaps, and beyond really, how are laws made? How are decisions made? How do groups kind of function? What data is important and relevant to making those decisions? What depictions of data and types of data can we consider in making these decisions, right? So this kind of involves all of the core, I would say, curricula. Encouraging our teachers to be able to talk about this stuff with our students is really critical. So how do all students get engaging, accessible pedagogy and build skills to be leaders within that dynamic of teacher and student in each of their individual classrooms? Now, the last piece here is that we should compensate and recognize our students, ideally by paying them money. Because again, to be representative of all students and to be equitable, making sure that all students have the authentic opportunity to be present in these conversations, representatives of students, we want to make sure that they are compensated just because they're, doing a lot of work and it is worthwhile to compensate them. And we value that, and that's a way to show it. It's also because many students won't be able to attend meetings because, especially if they're after school, they need to go work to make money because their family is relying on that. And so if we can pay them an authentic, meaningful compensation, that makes it more equitable. Now, money is hard to come by. One way we can do this, instead of writing a check to students, we can make it a credit-bearing course that students attend to do this work. We can reward or compensate students in forms of credit. We can offer food at these meetings. There are other ways we can do it. I think the best way is to try to find and allocate money for this. But there are other credits and ways that we can give compensation to students doing this incredibly important work. And of course, something that's totally free and easy to do is offering heaps of public praise. These students are leaders. They're putting tons of time into this, and this is a critical thing because we are using, again, to go back to the very beginning here, we are using all of these core voice mechanisms to set up the structures to make these decisions that are going to lead our policy changes moving forward. This one you're thinking about right now, We're going to co-create it. It's going to be effective because it was co-created with multiple iterations and input from all stakeholders because we trained the students to do that and we rewarded them for doing that. It will stay in place for any future policy initiatives as well. Whew, that's it. Okay, that is the 7 voice mechanisms that I want you to put in place. Have that representative experience, center students in this conversation, co-create. That's how we're going to get to the truly moving pieces, the things that are actually going to create sustainable change. As we co-create them, we don't try to force people to accommodate our plan or our vision. It's genuinely co-created and then we eliminate all the other problems. So as we do this, as we're putting these 7 things into place, I have a worksheet for you that it's going to prompt you, your leadership team, whoever is going to work through this with you, in thinking about some of these questions and trying to make sure that you have all of these 7 components really thought through so that you can rock and roll with ease as you move forward. Of course, as always, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, leave some comments in the video, and have a wonderful, wonderful implementation of whatever policy you come up with.